Hello there. I'm CBS 11's Doug Dunbar. With over 3 years having passed since the day Atatiana Jefferson was shot and killed and the day that Aaron Dean was convicted in that killing, we thought it would be worth a moment to go back in time, especially if you don't necessarily know all of the history. So if we wind the clock all the way back, we're standing here at October 12, 2019. That's the day of the shooting. The call comes into the Fort Worth Police Department as an open structure call. Dean arrives. He's got his partner officer with him. They do a perimeter search, and then suddenly, Dean, of course, sees a figure in the window, and that's the moment we know that Dean ends up firing that deadly shot that day and killed Atatiana Jefferson. His arrest came just 2 days later, October 14th. He ends up resigning. He is arrested officially, charged with Jefferson's murder, and then at the same time, he was a relatively new officer, we find out, on the force just 18 months when all of this begins to happen. Judge ends up issuing a gag order in this matter. That happened officially at the end of the month on October 31st. Fast forward 2019, December 20th, the indictment. The grand jury indicts him for murder. Jefferson's mother ends up speaking out. That was the first time we had heard from her. And then we continue with the timeline. The sister in May of 2021, months later now, starts a lawsuit. So that lawsuit is filed by Ashley Carr. It is a wrongful death suit, names the city of Fort Worth. She names Aaron Dean in this lawsuit as well, claims that excessive force was used the day of the shooting. And then we have this big span of time, August of 21 to May of 22, multiple trial delays. We had COVID-19. We had all the requests for relocation. They wanted the defense to move this thing out of town as best they could. Defense experts are unable to testify along the way. The lead defense attorney, widely reported on CBS 11, ends up being very ill. June 28th, the judge who ends up recused, all of this starts to play out. Judge David Hagerman, questions for him to step aside. Defense is claiming bias in this. He spent 2 years now on this matter and on this case, Judge David Hagerman did, but he ends up stepping aside. Jim Lane then, the lead defense attorney, he ends up dying. That is November 27th of this year, and he passed just 1 day before jury selection began. He was a former Fort Worth City Councilman. He was also a water board member as well in the city of Fort Worth. And then fast forward, here we are in the month of December now. Jury selection officially on the 2nd of December. There was a pool of 200 jurors, all of them thoroughly questioned by both sides, defense and prosecution. And then the murder trial itself officially, the 5th of December it began. Nephew ends up testifying right out of the gate. Very compelling testimony on day number 1. New body cam video came to light during this trial. Also of note, autopsy photos came out. And then there was a 4-day break between the 5th and the 14th. Both sides end up resting. And then, when everything was said and done, in the instructions to the jury, manslaughter ends up becoming an option according to the judge. And as we know now, manslaughter is exactly what the jury chose.